after taking them out of the box, after like, you know, really closely looking at them, it actually looks pretty nice. It's a pretty decent set for $1,100. Well, it's still expensive, but it's a it's a really nice setup here. I like it. Um, as you can see, it comes with two full one-piece for the fronts with the upper mounts and, you know, the camera plates. The bottom piece here, or I mean, these are the two fronts. For the rear, it comes with the two shocks and two springs and the adjustable, height adjustable with the plastic ring there. Basically a plastic washer. What I would say here is just like really read the manual here. The manual is important because I think it's pretty obvious TN wants you to read the manual, but I'll just go over it real quick with you just to make sure we're all on the same page here. You know, just make sure that you tighten everything together, like before you put it in. There's presets too. The presets I don't actually, you know, preload until it's actually on the car. It's actually better to do it on the car. But for the rear, that piece right there, the rear shock, the lower piece actually comes out. I don't actually know why they made it so like long. If this is your first time putting this on, you're gonna look at it like kind of confusing a little bit. But I guess that they made it this way so it's easier for them to take out when the parts need to be replaced because the shocks do go out over time. Like, you know, when it hits like 200,000 miles, I don't know, something like that. Hopefully not mine, but you know, we'll see how that goes. But they made it so long, it's probably because it's making it easier to replace when it comes time. And that bottom piece right there, if you loosen that up with uh, the the camber adjuster tools that come with it, when you loosen the bottom piece up through the shock, that part actually comes off. And now it says on the sticker there, it says don't, you know, fully remove or that thing will actually pop or damage it. They're talking about the shocks, but not the bottom piece. See, here's the manual here. This manual, I'll just go over it with you really quickly. You know, just be careful of using the impact wrench because it can actually damage it. That's important unless it's necessary to. You know what I mean? This is true for sure. Periodically clean the surface of the piston rods and inspect the suspension because dust and stuff goes on there. And sometimes, even though you tighten it all the way, tighten it right, it actually comes loose like over time. I remember I had mine a long time ago and I would drive it for like a month and then these things are so fresh and brand new that I never thought that nothing would happen. But you know, I end up jacking up the car and then all of a sudden I'm like the height right the adjuster actually moved it. So it's good to actually check it and adjust it again to where it's properly supposed to be and clean off the dust and make sure all the bolts and everything is tight because they do come loose and they move around. What I recommend is actually probably getting a struck bar too, like a front struck bar to hold everything in place there. I know that everything just like kind of seems a little bit confusing and misplaced, and you're like just wondering what the hell is what. But most of the times, like after you install it, and after it's all in place, uh, everything will come together, and it'll just make perfect sense actually. So don't worry about too much. Besides the fact, just make sure you're not damaging the suspension itself while you're trying to tighten everything down to put it in place. Just be careful with it. As you're looking through the pages here, you'll see the measurements for how to measure it. But to me, it's really simple. It's just if you just take your measuring stick, your measuring tape, and then just measure it from the adjuster down to the lower adjuster, if that makes any sense. Maybe I'll just go over with you through the video. It'll make more sense actually, because sometimes visual actually is more better understanding rather than just like, you know what I'm saying, just trying to explain something. So I'll go over that with you guys later. Clean and remove the adjustments. Anything else besides that? Tighten adjustable bolts for camera plates and 16 adjustable. Just make sure the proper specs is for the torque too. When you adjust it, just make sure it's tightened. I know it's a lot, but look, check this out. So this thing right here, right? When you mount it in place, make sure the TN suspension, the TN sign on the right there, make sure it's facing the engine, like it's like towards the engine, not out of the engine. And those things in the middle or whatnot, that's like that's for negative and positive camber. But I think mine. All right, so I'm gonna start off with the rear end of the car, the middle, with the rear suspension setup here that I'm trying to take off. We gotta take off the springs. Let's see here. The springs and the shock. There's a couple bolts here. There's a bolt right here. I think it's a 19, and there's a bolt right here. That's for the shocks, and then you guys can see this, but there's a bolt right there, right here. That's for the end links. And there's two bolts up there. There is one right there. There's probably one up here and another one up here. It's probably better if you just take off the fender liner. There's just a couple bolts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 bolts. 10 fender liner bolts there. Then once we get that, the suspension should come right off. All right, let's get to it. One thing from this clip here, I don't know if you guys can see this. How you remove it is you want to take the centerpiece and just twist from left to right until it like gives a little pop. You know what I mean? You don't want to get the bottom piece. Like you see how the bottom piece is right here. You don't want to get that part. You want to get actually the middle piece. Goes right into the middle. And then you just want to give it a little twist so it could pop up. Alright. Now that that's removed, you can see the bolts a little bit more clear. That one and that one. There's only two up here. It's easier to do it this way than going into your trunk and removing all the plastic pieces surrounding the trunk and all that. Alright, so once you loosen up this bolt right here, which belongs to the end links that's located in there. I don't know if you can see it. And then you loosen this one up right here, and then the spring should come right off. Alright, so here's the springs. If I can get them out. All right, so next we're gonna get the shocks out. It's a bolt right here. As you can see, it's connected to the shocks and the two up there. Okay. These parts just pull this off and it'll just come loose. There you go. So when you remove the springs, you'll notice that, you know, this is from the bottom and this one is from the top. This is from the top here. All right. So I moved this one from the top, and then for the bottom one, it actually just, you know, slides right out, right? And then just take one of your spring on the bottom there, and just plug it right in. How do you do this? Just twist it, it'll go in. So there's a spot right there for a loop that's made just for it. And there you go. That's in. As for the top, so the base adjustment actually goes on the top. This is the base adjustment right here, right? It goes on the top there. But the problem is that the top rubber piece actually sinks right in to the place where you took out the springs, right? Above that is a spot where you can actually put this rubber piece to it. You know, usually or typically TN, it would actually come with a little rubber piece on the top. For some reason it doesn't, so you gotta use the stock one. For me, when I got the stock one out, you know, out of the springs and whatnot, there was just like this little stuff that was on there that couldn't sit flush and flat. So I just basically you know, cut it all out, so that way that when I do put this on there, it'll just sit there flush as it compresses with the spring when I do put it back in place. I made a little dot there too as well. So what I did was you gotta to reset every time you change your stiffness, you gotta reset your stiffness suspension settings, right? So in order to do that, you want to just do a full clockwise. Just turn it all the way clockwise, full clockwise, and then if it stops before you do a full clockwise full turn, if it stops before that, that's okay too. That means don't try to push it or anything, because that can ruin the damper, the shocks. So once it stops, just click back 9. You know, go back to 9. 9 is actually in the middle. Is actually recommended for from the manual book. 8 for the front and 9 for the back. So do the full clockwise turn, full clockwise turns. If it stops before that, that's okay. Start clicking back 9 clicks. Turn it clockwise 9 clicks. And I already did that, so we're good to go. We're just gonna have to put it back in place here. And look here. 2,000 then 2 which is the rubber from the stock springs, and they just go right there. This is like built into the frame. You can't really just put, like, you know, without the rubber piece from the stock, you know, you could use the adjustment base, but then you'll be hitting some steel when you go over bumps. You might click, so it's not always good. The rubber piece, I think, is just meant for it. So just snap it right in and just sink in. Bam, there you go. Snugs it right in. All good. And then you just take this piece, the base adjustment, and you just put it on top. You know, like so. If I can get my goddamn hand in there. There we go. So now you just need to bring everything, put it together. So you gotta compress it. For me, what I'm gonna use to compress it is my jack. I'm just gonna lift it up so it hangs right here, and just compress it upwards. So we can start bolting in place. The rear suspension is a little bit different than the ones in the front, because you got 2 pieces. You got the spring and then you got the shocks. Normally, like for the multi-links, it's the shock that's gonna adjust your preload. Preload is just basically from your spring, just a little bit of compression to it, like just how do I say this? where it's just fitted enough, you know what I mean, where it just feels a little bit of pressure, so that way that it just prevents anything from falling off, you know what I mean. When you're going over the bump or whatever, or a speed bump, and you hear stuff rattling or you hear stuff clanking, that's just probably because, you know, it's really loose, and you don't want that. You want it to be a little bit tight. You want the spring to compress a little bit, so everything's all snugged in and nice and tight. That's actually a preload. That preload, you know, basically it's just gotta be 1/4 of an inch from when it starts to compressing. Like right now, it's starting to just a little bit. You know what I mean? You can still move it a little bit, but you want to get to a point where it just doesn't move at all. And then from there on, you'll adjust the preload accordingly, which is 1/4 of an inch. And I'll show you guys how to do that in a second here too. So you want to just pull it to the right. This part will come loose. And you want it to get about just a little bit over 5 millimeter. This thing right here, the adjuster tool, it is about 5 millimeter. So you want to just put, you know, get in a little bit between that, get it in between that, and just over. And to me, that right there, that's about 1/4 of an inch. That's the preload right there. And you just want to keep spinning it. I think it's to the left. Don't move it, but I think it's to the left. Once that thing start moving, this thing will start, the bottom piece of it will start coming up. Once that hit the plate right here, that's how you know that it's been about 1/4 of an inch. And tighten it back up. All right, so for this part, the easiest way is to just remove the axle nut bolt from the knuckles and the disc brakes. Just remove that assembly. Trust me, it will save you a lot of time. Doing it this way is probably the fastest and the easiest way, because once you remove it, the whole spring and the shocks actually comes down, and you can pull it out so much more easier that way. But you know, I was trying a whole bunch of different other methods. Like I was, you know, trying to compress it into different ways, pulling it out. It just wouldn't come out for some reason. It just didn't. At one point, I actually even went down to get some spring compressor, and you know, trying to compress the springs for like an hour, and that didn't work. So I'm just letting you know right now, the best way to do it, it'll save you a lot of time if you just remove the axle nut and remove the whole assembly, basically. Well, not the whole assembly, but you know, the knuckles and the disc brake from the axle, so that way that I could just have some room for it to come down. It'll save you a lot of time. Yep. All right, so when you guys actually get this in, make sure that this piece here hits the bottom piece. I don't know if you can see it. Like there's a little gap that it just belongs to, right? I'll just sink right in. There we go. That's how you know it's in place. Also make sure that the Tein sign, that the position of the mount, it's facing the engine. So just make sure that that sign right there, the Tein sign, is facing the engine, right? Because sometimes I see people put it in wrong, and it could actually ruin the damping. That's right there, facing this way, just like so. So I'm gonna show you guys how to preset real quick. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. You get 2 of these. Where is it at? 2 of these right here. And you just basically go left on the bottom and go right on the top. And then just push. And these will get loose. Once these get loose, we'll set our preset. So basically, we want to loosen it. It goes left. And see how this is like loose? We want to get it tight. Not that one, but this one. Get it tight. So just keep pulling to the right. You might want to do this with some gloves. Once it gets tight, that's fit. I think a little more. You want it where it's like not really moving. There you go. I think that's fit. That's what you call fit. That's fit. So once it's fit, just pull the bottom all the way to the top. Once it's fit, we want to just move it about 1/4 of an inch upward. Make sure the bottom doesn't move from where it is. So like 1/4. Alright, hold on. So we just want about 1/4 of an inch, but it's the recommended for your vehicle. You might want to check the manual for it. But I know for a fact that this right here is about 5 millimeter. So when you stick it in, it should fit right through it. But usually just a little bit more than that is about 1/4 of an inch. So when I'm putting it through right here, and it's just a little bit more than what this is, which is 5 millimeter. And I know right there, that's about 1/4 of an inch. Once I get to about 1/4 of an inch, I just want to just raise this up. Boom. And you're done. That's the preset. Tighten it up and you're good to go. Alright, we're good. Just wanted to show you guys this real quick. So this right here is the rod and 16-way adjustables. So this piece right here, actually you can just take it off, and then what you want to do is you want to do a full clockwise, right? A full circle turn clockwise, and then click it back 8 clicks, because that's what they recommend for the front is 8 clicks and the rear is 9. So then once you do a full clockwise turn and then click back counterclockwise 8 clicks. If you do a full clockwise turn and it stops, when it stops, that's okay. Just when it stops, you could just counterclockwise from that position and do 8 clicks from there. What you don't want to do is you don't want to force it when it stops. Like, let's just say that you do a full you're trying to do a full turn, right? And it stops halfway. When it stops halfway, don't force it, don't pressure it to to make that full turn, because you will break the suspension. Let me just repeat that again. You will break the suspension. So when that happens, when it stops, just start turning counterclockwise 8 clicks after that, and you know, from there on it should be good. And these are the struck bars. I just want to show you guys that real quick. Let's just see how it looks. I'm gonna show you guys how this thing looks. So that's the man. How do I? Can I get that? That's my drop setup. I think it's pretty good. You know, I'm not trying to drop it too aggressively. Right there. It's not bad, right? Anyways, there you have it. So what are my impressions of the suspension so far for the Tein Flex Z? To be honest with you, I had to take a long time for the suspension to settle in. There was a lot of mistake, trials and errors. You know, your first time dropping it is probably gonna be, or I mean, not gonna be the right one. I don't think anybody's gonna get it the first time they drop their car, because the truth is like it took me 3 to 4 times just to get everything right and dialed in for the height adjustment. But that's because when you drop it and then, you know, you drop your car and then you look at the height and then you're thinking it's the exact height adjustment that you see right there, but it's not. Because the thing is that when you start driving for a couple miles, the suspension actually settles in and it sinks in, and that could be like a 1/4 inch or sometimes even a half. It did that to me, you know. So when that happened, it took me a couple of times, but now that I finally got it dialed in and everything, and then after that I actually adjusted the damping settings, because obviously these settings here, it has 16 adjustable settings for you know, for the suspension here. The factory, well, what they recommended doing is like it's 9 clicks for the rear and 8 clicks for the front. So I think that's probably accurate, because that's where I'm at. That's where I actually settled in and where I'm comfortable at for now, at least. I know probably later on I'll probably just adjust them later, because, you know, probably just want to mess around with it a little more. But once that suspension clicks in place and your setting is right, you know, what are my thoughts about it? It feels good. I'm not gonna lie. It feels pretty good. Once you get it in, it feels like stock, but it's like you're riding on a cloud. Even when it's going over bumps, it just feels amazing. Feels good, man. You know. So if for you guys out there thinking that, is this the right purchase, or should I get the suspension? Yeah, I recommend it. I definitely say that it's worth the money. You know, it feels bomb, to be honest with you. everything seemed to be planted. But I think for me, what made a big difference was after I actually, got my settings in and dialed in and everything, I actually got a struck bar. So when you put the struck bar in, it doesn't even have to be, a name brand struck bar or off name brand struck bar. It just has to be a struck bar, Carbon fiber, I've seen people have, carbon fiber is not like the most solid material, it's actually a little soft here and there. And those ranges, I seen like, Cusco or Spoon and whatnot, or some high expensive products, which it just works the exact same thing as just a normal bar, you know what I mean? And once I dropped that in there, and that set in place, man, I could feel the agility, I could feel the turnings, ratios. It seems to be more planted. The corings, the handling is amazing. It's pretty good. I definitely like it. And the thing is like, if you're hearing clunks and bumps, when you're going over bumps and clinging noises or rattling noises or whatever it is, it just feels off. That probably just means that you didn't do it right. You didn't, get the settings in dial right, or you probably didn't install them right. So just go back and just rework everything, and then once you do, it should feel like you're stock, but you're riding on clouds. Because that's how I feel right now. It feels pretty good. And I tried other suspensions before. I'm not gonna name which one, but expensive ones too as well. Same price range really. I'm not gonna name just because I do want to get sponsored. So if Spoon, if you're listening, or whoever wants to sponsor me, please, I'm here for it. But yeah, those are my final thoughts. If you guys want to subscribe for more content, I'll appreciate it. And hopefully this video that I made was a big help to you all. And hopefully that's what I'm trying to do. If my videos can benefit you guys in some way, some form, and save you guys a lot of time, I think I did my part here. All right, until next time.